I was a drug dealer. I got addicted to Oxycontin at 14 years old and every other drug you can think of from 15 till almost 22 years old. Thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Turned out I couldn't imagine my life having not been a drug addict at this point. That moment was pivotal in my life because that was the moment I surrendered and found God. In that closet that night, I got on my knees and I said the prayer for the first time in my life. And I said, God, I can't imagine living the way that I'm living another day. I'd rather die. I also don't know how to do anything differently and I need help. And that was the prayer. I woke up the next morning and I went on the run for an armed robbery charge, and I've been consistently sober and in recovery since. My business was started out of a passion for helping other drug addicts and alcoholics, and that's what my business was, addiction treatment. In 2008, 23 years old, less than 2 years sober, I did my first real estate deal and I bought a foreclosed multifamily property, a 3-unit apartment building. I moved into it, started a business that was the first sober living house, lived there for the first 2 years with the clients, living a life of service. 13 years, 2 months later, that business had grown to be the largest provider of addiction treatment services for alcoholics and addicts in all of New England. We were doing $55 million of top line revenue. I did about $1 million in earnings a month, and I ended up selling that for $115 million in December 21st of 2021.
Welcome to Master Your Inner Wealth podcast with your host, Jarek Tadla, where we dive deep into the art of building financial freedom from the inside out. Together, we'll uncover practical strategies, real-life success stories, and expert insights to help you master your inner wealth and create the life you've always wanted. So let's get started.
Welcome to the Inner Wealth, Jarek Tadla podcast. Today I have a guest, Eric Spofford. It's a very, very successful entrepreneur. Retired quite a few times. I just found out that you're on the second journey.
I tried.
You tried, running the CEO of another 2 businesses.
Failed miserably at retirement.
Okay, so let's start with that. Tell us the story shortly, and don't be shy. We have a good listeners.
I've been accused of a lot of things. Shy's not one of them.
Okay, let's go. Let's go with
right.
it. Tell us the story. The climbing up the ladder. How long it takes, and when you realize that money is not everything.
My journey's a little peculiar because it starts before I even got on my legitimate entrepreneur grind. And so I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I was a drug dealer. I got addicted to Oxycontin at 14 years old. I was an IV heroin addict by the time I was 15. And so I was IV, heroin, cocaine, and every other drug you can think of from 15 till almost 22 years old. So 7 years of hardcore, serious drug addiction. Thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Turned out I couldn't imagine my life having not been a drug addict at this point. December 6th of 2006, I had recently gotten out of jail again. I was addicted to heroin. I had no money. I was experiencing withdrawals. I was becoming dope sick. Like when you go without drugs, you start to not feel well. And a guy tried to buy drugs off of me. And on the streets on drugs, I was a predator. I was not a good dude. And I took him behind the building and I rushed him with a kitchen knife and I robbed him for $82. I took the $82, I went and bought 4 $20 bags of heroin, went to the drug house, the trap house that I was staying on the 3rd floor of in this apartment building, did the drugs, and as soon as I got high, realized that the police had infiltrated the neighborhood. There were blue lights everywhere outside. And so for me, I got in a closet and I was hiding because the apartment that I was in was a well-known drug spot. And it was kind of well known. That's where I stayed at. And so I thought they had me made. And so I spent that entire night in the closet waiting for the police to kick the door in and come and get me on an armed robbery charge. And in the middle of the night, in the silence and the stillness, out of desperation, sitting there reflecting on, I had been in and out of jail, in and out of rehabs, in and out of 12-step meetings. I tried to get sober and change my life more than 100 times, promised everyone I knew over and over again that I would be different, broke every promise to them and myself 100 times.
How old were you when?
I was almost 22 years old.
How long, and how old are you now?
39. I'll be 40 in March.
Sober now?
This December will be 18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
So walk us through the journey, because I know you sold some businesses for 100 million plus,
yeah,
hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's what the people want to hear. The journey is, tell us the wars still, because I interrupt. So tell us the wars of the wars.
that moment was pivotal in my life because that was the moment I surrendered and found God. In that closet that night, I got on my knees and I said the prayer for the first time in my life. I didn't grow up religious. I wasn't surrounded by church. I'd never been to a church session in my life. And I said, God, I can't imagine living the way that I'm living another day. I'd rather die. I also don't know how to do anything differently. And I need help. And that was the prayer. That was the best thing I could muster up. But I woke up the next morning and I went on the run for an armed robbery charge, and I've been consistently sober and in recovery since. And so for me, it's a little different. Like, my business was started out of a passion for helping other drug addicts and alcoholics. And that's what my business was, addiction treatment. And I've done a lot of other things in real estate and other businesses and become diversified since. But in the very beginning stages, I was living, when I finally got an apartment, that I got sober December 7th of 2006. Later that month, I secured an apartment for $550 a month in a terrible neighborhood. It had a busted couch, that one of those couches that they left behind. It wasn't even my couch, that when you sat on, your ass hit the floor because all the shit was broken. I had a pile of blankets, and I slept on the pile of blankets because it was more comfortable than the couch. Didn't have a bed, barely had any clothes. And in that moment, though, I was chasing spirituality. I was chasing a relationship with God. I was doing personal development work through the 12-step processes laid out in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was living a life of service, relentlessly and obsessively going and finding other alcoholic and drug-addicted men that needed help and giving them my time, my effort, my energy, my love, my attention for free, and just pouring into them. I didn't even have a car. I walked to the place, the rehab spot. And so the idea was born to build a business that helped people. In 2008, 23 years old, less than 2 years sober, I did my first real estate deal, and I bought a foreclosed multifamily property, a 3-unit apartment building. I bought it from the bank from $150,000. I moved into it, started a business that was the first sober living house, and lived there in my state, my home state, lived there for the first 2 years with the clients, living a life of service. 13 years, 2 months later, that business had grown to be the largest provider of addiction treatment services for alcoholics and addicts in all of New England, the northeast part of the country. I had 325 employees that managed 440 treatment beds. We were doing $55 million of top-line revenue. I did about $1 million in earnings a month, and I ended up selling that for $115 million in December 21st of 2021, excuse me. And from 135 pounds with track marks up and down both arms and on my neck, fresh out of jail, begging God to save my life in a fucking closet in a trap house, to cashing an enormous check and moving to Miami, Florida, meeting guys like you. So the point in that, though, is that here's the funny thing, is that back in that apartment, when I only had that pile of blankets and I didn't really own anything, but I had purpose. I had people that counted on me. I had people that respected me. I had places I needed to be. It was busy. I was doing important things. They mattered. The shit that I was doing every day mattered because I was helping other people, and that was very important. And then fast forward at times during the journey where I naturally, as part of the human experience, separated from God, from spirituality, from purpose, and I walked through that valley of the shadow, right? The darkness. You walk through the desert because you start to just take it on your own. And I'm sitting in a 15,000 square foot, 14,500, who's counting, square foot house with a six bay garage, with supercars, with millions of dollars in the bank, with hanging out with celebrities. I'm hanging out with high level politicians. I got do anything I want to do, buy anything I want to buy. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm fucking miserable. And I'm perplexed in that moment going, how the fuck am I happier in a $550 a month apartment with no driver's license, deemed a habitual offender, walking everywhere, sleeping on a pile of blankets, than I am in this fucking mansion with a Lambo and all the other stupid shit in the garage? I got an infinity pool, a hot tub, a pool house, a tennis court. I got a business. I got hundreds of employees. I got the respect of the governor. I got the respect of the congressmen, the senators. I'm hosting political fundraisers for everyone who runs for office in my home state of New Hampshire, first in the nation for the primary. I'm dialed, man. I'm dialed. I got every obsession that I thought that I needed or wanted, I fucking had. And it's in that course that that's the first time, not the last time and not the only time, that I bumped up against, maybe this isn't what people think it is. Maybe we're all living under a delusion that we think we need these things to be okay, and we think we need these things to feel differently. And most people, here's the truth, will live their entire life in that obsession and probably never reach a level of status that they have enough stuff that they can realize it's not the stuff. And for them, they're sleepwalking, daydreaming, they're awake. And then you have guys like myself, and we've talked and shared our stories, so I know enough about you and your background that actually did cash those checks. Like I know your life, and I'd say probably the same for you. I ran out of shit to buy.
Yep.
I don't have anything left to fucking buy. What am I going to buy? Another big house? I own a fucking plane. I own a big-ass boat. I own cars. I own a fucking Lambo Aventador. I hate that piece of shit. I really do. I can't stand it. I bought the thing for $510,000 or something a year ago, and I've maybe driven that thing 8 times.
But
I took a couple pictures on Instagram and I posted. I act like I like it. I fucking hate that car.
How do we explain to people that it's like that? There's you're gonna run out of stuff to buy. They're not a plane. They're not a car. They're not a house. And not a luxury vacation. It's not gonna give you anything else. It just give you a little bit fulfillment for a moment, and that's it.
It's a dopamine hit.
Exactly.
It's a drink almost.
So we got to the top. And then it's like, and then how we can tell people, we're like, okay, so now you're bitching about it, and now you go share the story. We are not sharing that we're miserable. But what happened is, like Eric, it's a perfect example, had absolutely everything the money can buy. But he did not have the inner wealth. He lost the purpose. He lost the fulfillment. That you lost what you found in the closet. You said that you find the God, and that you were more driven. And suddenly, like, what happened is when we achieve anything we want to achieve, we think that's what's going to give us happiness, and then we stop. Yep. It's like, this is not it. So where's the second wake-up call?
I would stray from it. And I would walk away from it, and I would start to worship other things, and I would start to worship the money and the obsession and the materialism, and that's where it gets shallow, hollow, and meaningless. And so for a lot of it, I had it early on when I had nothing. And there's been periods of my time throughout my journey where I've suffered immensely like that. And when things, at that point, while I was still growing my business and I achieved all those things, that was one of them. And then the next big time that I really experienced this was when I sold my company. And I think for the message, you were just saying, how do we tell these people? How do they know? It comes down to one simple truth. It's a universal law. It's a universal truth. It does not matter what you think about it. Doesn't matter if you agree with it. It's fucking true. And it is that your internal condition depends on internal work. Hard stop. That if you do the personal development work, if you focus on God, if you focus on spirituality, if you focus on having a purpose and all the things that are actually important in life, truthfully, your external circumstances don't matter. You could be happy back in that apartment with that pile of blankets. You could be happy no matter what happens externally, no matter what goes wrong. It's funny. So in Alcoholics Anonymous, that fellowship was birthed in 1935. And it was actually a couple guys, one named Bill Wilson, one named Dr. Bob, that got sober in a religious movement called the Oxford Group. And the Oxford Group was like a born-again Christian movement that sparked off from the church and believed in like this 6-step program of action. It was very powerful. And they had a saying that it rings true as a mantra whenever I'm going through anything in real life. That's man's tragedy is God's opportunity. At the times that I was most shallow and empty and depressed and filled with worry and anxiety and attachment aren't actually the times that I was going through adversity. Oftentimes, they're the times when life is fucking excellent. And that's what's so perplexing about it is you can't really figure out, why do I feel like this? And then when life comes crashing in, what does it do? it forces you out of the human condition, and it forces you back to him. It forces you back to prayer. It forces you back to faith, back to worship. And all of a sudden, I'm getting my fucking dick kicked in business. I'm going through the shit in life. Life is happening for me. It's fucking painful. But I'm doing the right things. I'm doing this personal development work. I'm focusing on that inner wealth, and I'm okay, and I'm at peace. And that right there it's a riddle. It really is a riddle that a lot of people have a very difficult time figuring out.
If we just give advice to like entrepreneurs that are getting young, because I always tell you cannot tell us to have fucking balance. We don't know what the fucking balance is.
Yeah.
Like, we go fucking all in or we don't do nothing. But how do you keep the balance, like looking on the journey? Because I always tell people, I wish you success, but I want you to get as hard as possible. I don't want you to get there quick. Because, on the top of the mountain, there is another mountains, but first it's a crush. And not all of us are prepared. What kind of give the little Eric or the younger Eric the advice to connect the outer world, the wealth, with the inner world to go in the pair? Because it's like, we get it, and then we want more. We get it, we want more. But we always find, let me finish that question, because I want to go to the story. I love when you said, when you got the check, and the phone stopped, the emails, everything stopped.
When I sold the company.
I love this story. But how do you give the advice to keep the inner world and the outer world, try going in pair and having awareness, hey, I'm losing connection with reality. I'm searching too much in the outer, because you said you got lost with the outer world, like another car, another business, and you got also lost because you lost a little bit connection with God. How do you say people with the inner work and the inner world? How would you describe it? How would you change it, little Eric, let's say 10 years ago? So Miami trip, when you moved to Miami, how would you?
Got lost in the sauce for a little bit.
My question, and then I just go with it, man.
Yeah. It's when you put it like that, it's discipline. It's understanding that what are we? I'm a human being. What does that mean? It means I have a mind, a body, and a spirit. And I go to the gym for my body because I want to look good and I want to feel good. And I go through education and I read and I watch YouTube videos and documentaries and all these things to grow my mind. Because I want to be smart and I want to develop skill set. And I want to become better at things. That centers in my mind. But most people ignore the spirit entirely and they stop watering the plant. And the longer you don't water the plant, it gets wilted, it turns brown, and it starts to fucking die.
Can we talk about the spirituality a little bit more?
Absolutely.
Walk me through.
That's everything. That is what it is, right? At the end of the day, it's about spirituality, and there's a lot of other things that come with it. Your discipline, your habits, your diet, your workout, all of that stuff matters. But if it's only those things and the center, the heart of your personal development is not rooted in some form of spirituality, you're not going to find it. You're fucked.
Because I noticed a lot of people think spirituality and religions are the same. It's two different things.
Two different things.
It's a completely two different things. How do you feed in the spirituality? Because on the beginning, because I was also awakened when I almost committed suicide. You know, so I went through the pain, but I wasn't prepared emotionally and mentally. I didn't have the awareness, so I struggled and fuck that shit. Instead of me giving away, I'm gonna kill myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you? And I'm still in the journey. I tell people that I'm recovering workaholic, I'm recovering workoutaholic, I'm recovering now depression alcoholic. You know what I mean? I'm just
I got a lot of problems,
dude.
lady.
I have problems. Hey, because you know that we just addicted, and when you find a new journey, when you find the inner world, the spirituality, we want to go all in. I don't want to be a monk and go to India and just
No, you don't have to. In my experience, you don't have to. I found God high as a motherfucker on my knees in a trap house. And since that moment, it's been just a personal relationship with God. That I don't believe that God is limited to the stone walls of a church or in the pages of a Bible. I think that God is living and breathing and as much here with us now as he always has been and always will be. And you're either awake or you're asleep to that. It's coming to know God is like a fish waking up one day and looking at you and going, did you know we're fucking in water? Yeah, dumbass, you've been in water the whole fucking time. He's been here the whole time.
I always say
and so you're either dialed in, tuned in, and awake to the spirit, or you're not. Exactly. And that is very much about, people think it's about a process of addition. I need to go to India. I need to chase this journey. I need to add this and add that and add this and add that. And it's really a process of subtraction. It's a process of removal. The things that stand between me and a meaningful relationship with our Creator, it's resentment, anger, hatred, it's selfishness, it's a life of dishonesty, it's fear, anxiety, worry, it's harm, right? Blame, shame, guilt, remorse. These things, when you start to remove them, you start to open your heart up and it just starts to flow in. And it sounds, for anyone who hasn't had experience, probably be like, these two fucking guys are whack. These two rich assholes are out of their fucking mind. You know what I mean?
That's what
yeah, but,
I mean,
but
what
you
happens
start, it becomes a working part of your spirit and your mind. And there are times where, like, I look up and I can feel the fucking message. I know what I have to do. I know what I have to say. I know where I need to go. I swear to fucking God, I just go, okay.
Can you tell people that we're not smarter than it's like we are now smarter?
We were actually drinking ayahuasca before we got here.
Right? Yeah, that's what, like the life happens. Like when you have the awareness and you have the awaken, is you realize that the life happened from inside out, not from outside in. And I was thinking, there are people that are, and it's funny, but you said it. I love how you said it. It's like when you get awakened, there are people. There's only good or bad people. No, there are people that are awakened and people that are not.
They're asleep. Asleep, daydreaming, they're awake.
Exactly. And it's hard to describe it, but we don't, like the abundance comes when we suddenly you get pulled towards the purpose, to the fulfillment, and suddenly the abundance comes. And it's like everything is collected, but I don't think we work hard anymore on it. But I just want to make sure that we don't wake up and we just don't pray, meditate, and we do like the inner work, and then all the money comes in. We still freaking grind every day. We do the work, we do the calls. It's like the mornings, the work that both of us like very selfish in the morning, but then the work has to happen. We cannot just write.
I'm not telling anyone they shouldn't also chase their dreams, goals, and ambitions. Like if it's in your heart, you have to go for it. Like if you have a vision, if you have this calling of, I want to build this thing, or I want to achieve this goal, or whatever it is, like whatever that thing is for you, you have to fucking do that. You don't have a choice, or else you'll run out of time and you'll face the worst thing that could possibly ever happen to somebody is regret. But you have to balance that with the personal development and the internal work, understanding that, yes, pursue all of that, chase it. For me, it's an obsession. I don't stop. I don't do anything else, literally. But it is also balanced with prayer, service, and all the things that I know that when I practice with strict discipline around these things, it keeps me fulfilled and it keeps me clear. It keeps that channel open and I'm fucking dialed in. And so that is the only state of being that if I'm in that flow state, if I'm dialed in, I can actually enjoy the process and actually enjoy the fruits of what I've gotten. I sold my company. I bought a 92-foot boat. It's got 5 bedrooms, got a private chef on the boat, 5 people work on the boat. And
I love it.
It's a great boat. Yeah, come down, take it out anytime you want.
Yeah.
And the boat's great. But when you're sitting there with no purpose, no meaning, and no people and no tribe, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you're on the boat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not that fun.
Okay, so 4 things. Let's start the flow state. When you know how you personally, like you feel that you're in the flow state. Because I talk about it, like when I'm go in the flow state, it's just everything sounds like I'm like really high. I could not reach the high. I have to reach the high with alcohol and drugs. I have to mix it so long, and the buzz only lasts like 15, 20 minutes. When I go now to the flow state, it lasts like 3 days. Yeah. You know what I mean? How do you get to your flow state? And just explain how you feel in the flow state.
The flow state, I think that's really about spiritual fitness in a lot of ways, and alignment. And so when I'm in alignment with that, and God has His plan.
I love everything you're saying. I love you, man. Dude, when you speak, I have this like energy, like right here, like you speaking to my soul.
Here's what I really think about the flow state and unfiltered is that God has a plan and design and a purpose for every one of His children. And a lot of people, our greatest job on earth in our life is to find out what that is and become aligned with it. And so I know that when I have God's plan, and then when I let go of my plan and I get aligned with God's plan, that is fucking flow state. I'm unstoppable. And the crazy thing, though, is that as a human being, living the human condition, we're plagued with selfishness and self-centeredness and dishonesty and delusion, and we constantly get distracted. It's Adam and Eve with the fucking apple. You know what I mean? And so I'm constantly like, yeah, God's got a really good plan, but I think I could do a little bit better.
Let's move to Miami.
Yeah.
Go. Go. Yes, I want to hear
And,
that shit. I want to. I'm so excited. What happened to your flow state when you moved to Miami?
Miami, I sold my business. I had already moved down here. I moved to Fort Lauderdale, and about that time, I moved to Miami. And we were talking before this. I went from having a business with 325 team members, a mission, a purpose. The work that we did every day was important. It was meaningful. We were making a difference in thousands of people's lives. And I was busy. My phone would light up like a Christmas tree. Hard to keep up with the amount of texts, emails, phone calls all day. Boom, boom. And December 21st, 2021, 10 a.m., I had the closing call. Investment bankers, lawyers, and the buyer, the private equity firm, and the strategic company that they sponsor, all on the phone. We all sign off on closing. I was the last one. They said, Eric, you signed off. You clear to close? I said, yep, clear to close. It was the most anticlimactic thing that I thought we would get together, all be in a room. Like, I don't know, you guys want to get dinner or something? Like, we just sold. It was 10 minutes. And never spoke to him again. It's the craziest thing. And it was this call, and we went off, and they said, oh, and I actually stopped them. And probably a stupid question. I've just never done it before. I said, when do I get my money? That was the question. They said, the wires have been sent. You'll see it in your account later today. I said, great. Sat back. With me was my right hand, Lori Boudreau, Chief Operating Officer of my family office. I hung up that phone, took a deep breath, sighed, and then looked at her and said, I wonder how long it'll be before people start suing me and coming out of the woodwork. I intuitively knew that. And then 8 minutes after, I told you, I opened my phone and I went to refresh it, and my work email asked me to enter my password. I thought I at least had a day before they got with the IT company, and nope, they'd already set it up, and they locked me out almost immediately when I sold my company. And so therefore, it was the holidays. I sold on December 21st, so there was Christmas and New Year's, and so there was a little distraction with that, and it was busy and all that stuff. And then January comes, and everything gets real quiet. And my phone's like barely ringing. It was the weirdest thing in the world. And here I was with more money than I ever imagined I'd ever have. And I'm like fucking bored. And like, I had a little bit of seller's remorse for a little bit. I was like, I literally started getting emotional. I was like, did I fuck up? I've never said this out loud before. But in the months of January and February, I've been sitting there and going, did I fuck my life up? Did I do the right thing? And I've never told anyone that before. I've never even thought it out loud. And so that period of time, after selling my business, being in Miami, I don't drink, but I'm out till fucking 5 a.m. drinking Red Bulls in the clubs, and I'm sitting there at Live and all these nightclubs and looking at all these people, and I'm spending all this money, and I'm buying bottles for everyone. I don't even fucking drink. This stupid fucking $300 bottle of alcohol just cost me $4,000 or something. I'm like sitting there and I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I was like, I hate all of these people. I don't actually even like anyone that's here. I don't even like being awake past midnight. What am I? And I just hit this point, and I was like, and that was the second point of, I'm looking around at the people that are around me, like the friends. They're staying at my house. They're always over. They're by my pool. They're eating my food. I'm going out to dinner. No one's pulling out a credit card. And they're all just riding around. And I just woke up one day, and I fucking killed every one of them. And I literally just bailed on everything. And then at that point made the decision. I was like, I need to go back to work. If I don't get another mountain to climb, if I don't get another mission.
How long did it take you? So that let's say
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. But I didn't get there, but I saw the writing on the wall, and it was like, if I don't pivot, I'm going to end up drunk, high, dead, or with a pistol in my mouth, and it's not going to take me that long. Yeah. And I wasn't there yet, but I was looking down the tunnel, and I'm like, oh, I see where the tracks end for this. And I'm moving very fast in that destination. And I had to recalibrate and get back to work.
You told me my story, you know that, right? This is people don't. That's what when I tell people I wish you it takes as long as possible. Enjoy the fucking journey, not
The journey's the
destination.
best part.
Yes, because when we get to the destination and we're not prepared for it, and there's no matter how much work you do, the inner work, praying, and you have even coaches, you have other friends, they tell you exactly what's gonna happen when you get to the top, you're still gonna crush.
Yeah.
Because it's our human body, it's our human being,
you
it's
know,
a being.
I don't know that you could save someone from that experience, but I do think it's helpful for us to share our experience openly, that when people do get there and experience that, they've heard the message and go, okay, I'm not alone.
Because I got to the level, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't like you, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't doing anything, but I didn't want to be anymore here.
Yeah.
And remember, like
Life loses purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So anything I did, it have had zero fulfillment, zero purpose. And remember, I have freaking 5 kids. I have a queen. I have family. I have and I still have my businesses because my business I run on my own. So I have all those employees, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm here. It's like, how do I explain those people? I kill myself. No. But it's like,
I know.
But in the answer,
Yeah.
exactly. But if I try to tell the stories, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
people showed up in the freaking funeral. What's wrong with this motherfucker? Like, he got everything. I lost myself.
Yeah.
Like Eric, I was so fucking lost. Like, what the fuck is going on?
When was this? What year?
It was 2021.
Yeah.
It was middle of 2021. You know what I mean? And
Summertime?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like and it's funny, Eric. I only got sick for 2 days. I really thought it's like a flu. The flu went away, and like I had the depression of I was hitting a lot of I lost connection with God. I got stupid. Like, we get stupid. The money, all this stuff, and maybe also happened like for me was moving to Florida, because when I was in Colorado, I was the big shot. In 2005, you're driving your Maserati, Ferrari. You're the only one.
Yeah.
Dude, I moved to Florida. I'm driving fucking Rolls Royce. Fucking everybody drives Rolls Royce here.
Yeah.
Like, you fucking have a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit. I'm like, and the lifestyle. And again, I surround myself with the wrong people. I have no connections, and I just become miserable. And you touch on it, and you said it twice. You said about the tribe. Can you explain like how important is the tribe? Because for me, if it wasn't for the tribe, because like you said, I'm hanging out with people, I have no fucking connection. Zero connection. Talk about the tribe, please.
The connection and the relationships they're essential to life. And you really have to step back and look at this from a 30,000 foot view of who and what we are, right? We're tribal pack animals. You look at what is a human being? We operated in packs. Look at the Native Americans. And we had communities that we all supported each other, and we were all interconnected, and we relied on each other for survival. The women cooked. We hunted. The elders were medicine people and told stories and watched the children, and we all relied on each other. And so in modern Western civilization, the fragmentation or the dislocation of the society has really created a lot of fracture in that interconnected stuff. And I think that is a root cause in general society, not amongst high net worth, successful people, but for them, of addiction, mental health, and these problems that are pervasive and facing our country and others. But then what challenges it when you have a journey similar to ours in this success, the more successful you get, the more complicated relationships become. And these complications, all of a sudden you're looking at everyone around you, and you're like, I fucking have 500 people around me, and I'm known by millions of people. I'm borderline fucking famous. I don't have a fucking legitimate friend. I don't have people that are my peers that I can fucking share openly with, that are fucking here for me. And it's like, excuse the language, but it's like everywhere I go, I'm a hot 25-year-old girl with big tits. I walk in the room and everybody wants to fuck me. And it's just, oh, Eric, do you know what you could do for me? And hey, I have this thing. Can you look at it? And hey, I see this guy. Could you maybe introduce me to? And so everyone walks up to you, just like that girl in the room with all the hundreds of guys. Like, they're like hiding their dick behind their back, like waiting to get them. And it's like, they're just walking up, and I'm like, all right, what are you angling for? What the fuck do you want?
we realize is everything is transactional. And
It
you're
becomes
so
transactional,
fucking
and so
sick of it. And those people push you away.
yeah, and you're not welcome here, you're not welcome there. And so it becomes very transactional. Relationships lose authenticity. And tell me if you've ever had this thought. You're sitting here as a high net worth person owning everything you want to own, and you could own anything that you wanted to if the idea came up. And you're looking at these fucking people that have 9-to-5 jobs that make average fucking ordinary incomes, but they're like bonded and they have a fucking barbecue together on the weekend, and you're like fucking jealous of them because you know you're not welcome and you couldn't go there and fit in if you fucking wanted to. But they have each other. And here you are in this fucking 15,000 square foot fucking palace on the water with, I'm sure you got some nice cars out there. I think I saw a boat. And you're like, fuck, I wish I could go to their barbecue. I wish I could be part of that.
Guys, I
And it's
really
like-
want you to fucking hear, like you
Yeah.
touching like every fucking point. But
Yeah,
you
man.
explain this to people don't, like, why is he
Like they're
fucking
jealous
busy?
of us, and we're
Yes,
jealous of them.
Exactly.
I almost fucked my life up by getting too rich.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
Telling my
shit.
life story, man.
Yeah, it's a common one.
But it's
you know,
hard to understand. It's when you tell the spirit, so I invite you, but you don't have the same connections because we don't have the same problems. We don't have the same issues.
exactly.
So what happened is they connect on the same, like to us, it sounds like but the problem is we come like, oh, I can solve this. You have, oh yeah, you have like we are solvers. But
Yeah.
then we lose the connections. Like when I added you asked me like me and Jesse were the last 3 days. So when I joined the Brotherhood, I realized how the tribe and the connection, how important it is. And we went through the process and I completely got awakened because that's what I was missing. Because the only connections I found, it was those transactional connections.
Yeah.
And they're like, so I built the wall, Eric, around me. Like everybody's there to fuck me. Everybody's there to take away from me. So what happened is I kept it alone. So when Raul, took the wall away from me, I went to fucking Starbucks, right? In the morning, at 5 o'clock in the morning that I always go. And I go, hi, how are you? And the guy fucking looked at me like, what? You talking to me? Like, I thought you the fucking rich motherfucker that comes here at 5 o'clock in the morning in a Rolls Royce and thinks fucking all the world. I'm like, no, I'm Jarek. I'm like, like I just want to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, dude, he's like fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
No.
But that's exactly, and even like my people that work for me, when they say like, I spent the weekend, and the reason like I connected so much, when you said about the fucking grilling, this invite me. The whole families get together and they have no views, no nothing. They just like, they get a one fucking grill for $29 and everybody's connecting. And then like, if they drink, they drink, but a lot of them don't even drink because they raise families and like, can I be part of it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What I've come to understand and how I've structured my relationships, which has worked very well for me, is I categorize people into 3 buckets. 3 different groupings. And if you don't fit in one of these 3, not that I don't need to know you, but I'll probably just love you from a distance. We don't have a lot of business to do together. And I see it like this. The first group are very important. This is incredibly important, and a lot of people miss this, is people that I can help. I've been very blessed. I have a lot of life experience. I have a lot to offer other people, getting sober, business advice, real estate advice, recovery, how to these conversations, how to overcome mental health issues, how to navigate adversity. And so I constantly keep people in my life that I can give back to, and that gives me a sense of meaning and purpose. And then I also have people that is in the second group, which these are the homies. These are the people we just getting to know each other now, but I see this for us in our future because we're sitting out there with the girls and a couple of guys, and we're at your very nice table outside sitting by the water, and we're constituents. We have things in common. I can have an open conversation. Oh, do you like the Rolls Royce? I like the whatever. Oh, you like the Mandarin? Yeah, I like the Mandarin. And we have these things in common. We're at a similar phase of life, and we can be relatable to each other. I'll never ask you to borrow money. You will never ask me to borrow money. We can do the cookout together. And then the third is, and a lot of people lose this as well, is that people that in certain areas. That could be business, finance, that could be health and fitness, that could be spirituality, relationships, God, whatever. I admire them. They're further ahead from me. And in this area, or whatever it is, and I have enough humility to go and forever be a student. And so when I have that, I have the camaraderie of friendship, of tribe, of people that I can do this thing with. I'm going to make an assumption that because you have your own things and we're of equal levels, if I do a score and make $1 million tomorrow and I call you back and I'm like, bro, I fucking hit it for $1 million, you're not going to go, must be nice. You're going to go, fuck yeah, bro. Hell yeah. I'm pumped for you. And you mean it.
Yeah.
You need those people in your life.
Yes.
And then I constantly stay a student and stay humble to receive from other people and learn and sit in front of them. And that keeps my fucking ego in check. And I'm constantly growing and I'm constantly getting better, because the second my ego takes over and I think that I got this and I have all the answers because I have all this stuff, I shut myself off to growing. I shut myself off to being a student and learning. If you're not growing, you're going. And then the purpose that I give to these people that I have that I'm helping, that's the position they have in my life. There's nothing they can, my friends, we can do something for each other. We'll do deals together. We'll be friends. We have friendship. These guys ahead of me, I might pay them. It might be transactional. It might be because I have a relationship. It might be because I asked, but I'm receiving from them. These people can do fucking nothing for me. Nothing. They do, but they actually do more for me than they ever would understand, because by helping them, I help me.
I really want to touch on that.
And those are the three categories. And then there's all these other people that some of them are my family. Some of them are friends I've had my entire life. Some of them, and I look at it and I'm like, you don't really fit the fucking model. And so, like, these people, it's not that I'm not telling everyone, like, oh, I watched the podcast with Eric Spofford, so I went back and told everyone to go fuck off. It's not what I'm saying. Just love them from a distance a little bit. You know what I mean?
But tell, like, exactly the feeling, like, when we learn a lot more by giving, because a lot of times, like, when I help other people, I say not only it's the best thing. Geez, I'm always do this. I get goosebumps all the time. It's just something. It's from my body. But when I help other people, it's like a lot of times I'm helping myself. Like, I say something, it's like, hey, Eric or Andrew or Los, I'm talking to him suddenly. Motherfucker, I do this in this, but I don't do this in the other. Let's say I don't do this with kids. I don't do this relationship. I don't do this with my physical connections. I don't do this with the God. And it's like, I'm talking, and they're so grateful. Jarek, thank you for helping me. I'm like, motherfucker, I just helped me. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's funny, like, when we give, we receive a lot more. And I love the connection. That's why it's like, we need, like, everybody, but we just give from ourselves, and we, like, truly give it from ourselves, and we gotta feed our soul all the time. Because, Eric, there was a time before I got awakened, I was a fucking people pleaser.
Yeah.
I was this motherfucker. I want to fucking please everybody. You know what I mean? But what happened is I was just losing. That's what I was laying.
Lose yourself in the process. Yeah.
So how do you make sure that you don't lose yourself? Because we go in and out. Because I think a lot of people, like, I ask for help right now. Like, dude, I'm struggling. I have a fucking bad day. Some of my guys say, oh, Jarek is venting. I'm like, dude, I have a fucking bad day. I'm allowed to fucking have a bad day. I'll fuck the shit up. I lose the shit on my kids. So we talk about a lot of the mental. You mentioned the word mental health and emotional intelligence, emotional fitness. How do you get yourself back on schedule? Back yourself as, hey, because it's like you're saying, we are never ending. And it's an infinite game. You know that, right? Like, I'm the student of the game, and I will never stop. Like, now I want to live freaking 120. Like, freaking, like, I'm telling you, like, this is my biggest asset. Like, I love my life now. I'm freaking 52 years old. I love my fucking life. How do you like, when you hit those, like, lows, you're feeling out of the flow, how you get back to is it people, is it conversation you have, or meditation, is it prayers? I don't know. Like,
it's prayer. Usually my first place I go is usually prayer. And then I like the word turn. I turn my thoughts. This is out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. in the 10th step, and it says, I turn my thoughts to how I may better help others and meet their needs. And so if I'm in a rut and I need to shift, that first I go to God, because God is the inexhaustible fountain of power and joy. And I got to plug in. And then I try to turn and focus how I can be helpful to other people. And in the service to others, somehow it just brings that feeling of fulfillment, and I come to my senses a little bit.
For people that recovering, I don't talk a lot about addictions because I was like, shit, that shit doesn't serve me. I just got out of it. And it's hard for me to even talk about it. I know we have addictive personality.
Yeah.
All success people are freaking addicts. And I figured out I got to find a way to find addiction something that helps. What advice would you give it to people that, especially those people they made the most dangerous fucking part, like you know that, between $2 to $10 million. They think they fucking on the top of the world. They drink, they cheat on their wives, they do drugs. What advice would you give them? What, from the journey that you went through and the people that you know, what advice would you give them? Those entrepreneurs that think they made it.
I don't know that it varies that much from the advice that I'd give to the people that are starting out or the same people that have made it, that are much further along. It's a common denominator for all people, which is this, and I think a lot of people lost in it, that you need a non-negotiable set of principles. And principles, a code of conduct. What defines you? Simply put, what is the non-negotiable rule book for your life? And that for me happened, and that's why when I was on that pile of blankets in that shitty apartment, I was cool. I was happy. You couldn't tell me my life sucked. I was like pumped every day, excited. I woke up excited to be alive. I was in alignment with God, prayed, I meditated, I worked out, I ate healthy, I was of service to other people. And here was this framework for success for my life, and that if things were good, I did the same thing. And if things were bad, I did the same thing. And if I had a lot of money, I did the same thing. And if I faced financial hardship and took a loss, I did the same thing. And it was like, fucking pick a handful of things that work for you and do them no matter what. If you talk to a guy that's just starting out and they actually adopt that and they live by it, when they hit that 2 million, that 5 million, that 10 million, it's their tethering rod. It's the thing that's going to keep them grounded through that process. Every day I wake up and I have to pray. Every day I have to make time. I have to check in. I got to report above. And I got to sit here quietly and make time for quiet time. And call it meditation, call it reflection, whatever is most comfortable for you. I don't think it matters. But you have to make time for the quiet. You have to make time for the stillness, because the world is very loud and God only whispers. And so you clear the path and you sit there. Yeah, you sit there and get quiet.
I'm going to lose this line I'm going to use.
And then the framework of the exercise, the work, the diet, the respect for your body. God gifted you that body. Like, you think that's your body? That's not your body. That's a motherfucking rental, dog. You own your spirit. Your spirit was implanted into that body to be a spiritual being having a human experience. It was given to you. You got it, and guess what? Someday you got to give it back. And so while you have it, while it's under your possession, why don't you fucking take care of it? Why don't you stop disrespecting it with drugs, alcohol, and shitty food? And so when you start to honor your body and you start to honor your life and you make time for this quiet and you make time for this prayer, what happens externally, whether you make that $10 million or your wife tells you she wants a fucking divorce, or fucking some terrible things happen in life. People get sick. People fucking die. You make fucking... And it's funny. People think the threats frequently are the bad times. Dude, I shine in the bad times. You want to see a fucking game time player? Give me some bad news. I know. Let's go. I'm in. Yeah. Fucking dig in. You know where I'm most vulnerable and susceptible for fucking bullshit? Is when everything's great. And so it's like, it's the discipline of, that's why it has to be non-negotiable, that it has to happen no matter what at all times. And that's why I do it when the fucking sun's out. I do it when it's raining. I do it whether I'm happy or sad or poor or fucking rich or whatever. It's just sticking to those basics and staying on the path. And as long as I adhere to these things that I committed to, nothing else really fucking matters, man.
Fuck, guys, I hope you guys listen,
yeah.
and I'm gonna make a reel out of this. The last 2-3 minutes, it was his rant, but this is the fucking truth, motherfucker. Like you give a Bible to fucking live. You literally give a Bible. You give a step by step. You gotta tell me the line one more time, man. The life is. I love it how you said.
Make time for the quiet moments, because the world is loud and God only whispers.
Fuck. Seriously. Jesus.
And so many people live surrounded by noise and chaos and busy, and before you know, it's days, weeks, months, and years, and you haven't stopped to take the time to fucking check in, to listen, to tune in.
And guys, he also said, be vulnerable, but be vulnerable with yourself. And like, guys, what he's saying, do not fucking, like, this is your biggest asset. Do not break your fucking promises to yourself. When you start breaking promises to yourself, then what happens? You start breaking promises to everybody else, to your employees, to your kids, to your spouse, to everybody, to the loved ones. Stop negotiating. Like we do not, we do not negotiate with ourselves. It's given. Like, that's what it has to do every day. And it's just, that's what the resilience is built, and it never stops. It's like a lot of people will not get that.
Yeah.
And like, why we have to go to the fucking level of breaking through, like completely freaking lose shit? Like, why is this happening? Can you imagine like be able to just share the story for the kids that are 18 years old, 20 years old, even my kids? Because I think you have to be at a certain level to connect those dots, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, or like I always say, even like you own the boat, say, Jarek, this is gonna happen until you ruin the boat, until you pay for it 3-4 times. Okay, I learned the lesson. I got there. So I think as a human, we gotta hit the bottom or because like we learn the most in the pain. Yeah, Eric told me this I follow Eric for fucking 2-3 years. He told me this 100 times. No, I have to learn from our own pain.
A lot of people
think you can avoid it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that you can get people to avoid it. I think they have to find it on their own. And pain, here's the other thing too. In that is the belief system that pain is a negative and should be avoided, when in reality, like, pain is the touchstone of growth. It's like addiction or anything else that we're talking about, right? When you look back and you honestly analyze your life and you look at the things that you've been through, the delusional, broken belief system that we've probably both had at periods of time, and many people do, is that what feels good is good and what feels bad is bad. When I look back at my life, that does not check out. The things that felt the worst were the fucking best for me, dude. You know what felt great? Heroin, alcohol, cocaine. These things felt great. They almost killed me. You know what felt terrible? Sobriety, truth, doing the internal work, facing the reality about what I had become, and the own truth about myself. It was painful as fuck. It set me free. I look at people and I'm like, I never want to rob you of your bottom. I never want to rob you of your pain, because my own pain was the best thing that ever happened to me. It created fucking who I am, but I wouldn't change that for the world. When I look back at my life, I honestly can tell you that I would not wish away any of my pain. I could probably do with a lot less of the shit that felt great, though. Overeating, binging, drinking, drugging.
I literally love you, man.
I love you too.
Dude, you just saying,
Yeah.
Holy shit.
No, and let's not rescue people from their pain. Let's support them while they go through the process. I wish people more pain.
To watch. And we savers, and then we get crucified.
Yeah, because you don't want to see them go through it. But if you can really calibrate to, when you look at your own pain, like when you look back at it, was it a gift or no?
All my pains were the gift.
Why do we look at other people and see it any differently? Wow, you're going through a hard time. What a gift. What a fucking gift. I love you. I'm here if you need anything. I don't remember. You know what's fucking crazy? This is true. I look back at my life and I have to try to remember the fucking great times. My life is defined by every time I fucking bumped my knee, every jam I got in, every crash I got into, every adversity that I had to work through, all the fucking pain. Those are the monumental times. Those are the most the valuable times of my life when I look back. The periods of time that I value are not when everything was great and I was partying and I had people around me and fucking everything was going my way and I got the deal. And I can't even remember most of that shit. I can't even fucking bring it into consciousness of, oh yeah, I remember I bought the thing and I had a buyer for it and I made a bunch of money. Yeah, it means fucking nothing to me. I look back at fucking sitting there on my mom's couch, fucking rocking back and forth for a fucking month, dude, dope sick, pissing shit in myself, praying to God, fucking Dude, it sucked. I wanted to kill myself. It's the fucking best thing that ever happened to me.
Funny,
Fucking
like,
thank God. Thank you, God. Thank you. Give me more. Thank you. Thank you for the hard times. Thank you for the opportunity to work through this pain. Thank you for the opportunity to move through this adversity. Thank you for carrying me through. Thank you for teaching me these lessons. Like gratitude for the pain. Not looking at it like, oh God, more, blah, blah, blah. Now I've been through so much that when it comes knocking at my doorstep again, I'm like, what's up, old friend? Let's fucking get it. It's another opportunity to show you what I'm made of. Another opportunity. I know I'm going to come out of this. I look at these things and I go, it's time. I know I'm going to come out of this phase of my life different than how I started it. Let's go through the process, and you can't rush it. You have to move through it.
Dude, we got to show, like, seriously, this is the shit we got to share.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Because people want to avoid the
I
pain.
appreciate you inviting me because it's a cool conversation that I don't have the opportunity to have a lot. Yeah. It's hard to have a one-way conversation about this. They're looking at you like, fuck are you talking about? You're crazy, aren't you?
Dude, I'm like, I don't want to, I just talk. I don't want to just talk. I want to like just listen and just absorb everything. Because it's like when you speak, it just touches me. It's like, fuck. For years, I thought I'm the only one. That I thought I'm fucking delusional.
But that's the power of sharing the message. You know what I mean? It's you putting your message out there, and it's clearly, look at this, you got a whole setup, you got a couple guys doing this, you have me up here, and that's that God's will thing, right? You look back at the summer of 2021 when you're fucking having those crazy thoughts and at your bottom while on the top, and like you look at it and it's...
She pulled me out of bed.
Yeah.
And she said, you're not fucking sick. Get out. You helping so many people. You cannot fucking help yourself. And I was like, fuck, I got to go and just share the story.
Here's the question, though. When you look at that, is it a blessing or a curse?
Oh, that was definitely a blessing.
Exactly.
That was definitely, the curse was that I put myself in the situation of the not enough, that I know it doesn't matter what I did, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, but you have to dial all that all the way in. If I'd never shot heroin and cocaine and destroyed my life and broke the hearts of everyone that fucking loved me for almost 7 years, it would have never qualified me to. I could walk in.
Conversation. You wouldn't.
No, but listen, I can walk in and look at any little dope fiend in one of these treatment centers or any fucking little alcoholic that's trying to get sober, and I come in with the amount of lived experience that gives me credibility that I can look them in their eyes and go, I've been exactly where you've been. And now I'm fucking different. And I have a solution and I have some answers to your fucking problems. And I get to establish credibility with them. And here you're saying like the blessing was the moment. The blessing was the day I got sober for you, right? This moment of it, they're similar because they're moments of surrender. They're moments you put the fucking white flag up. You chose to lose to win. But all the suffering that it took to fucking get there is the thing that qualifies you to be able to have this conversation, put this message into the world, and you don't know who's going to watch your content and fucking take the gun out of their mouth and put it back in the safe. Like
Eric,
you don't know. And so if you never suffered like that, if you didn't pay that price, you never get to that moment. You never get to suffer the way that you suffered. You never get broken enough to find God, to get enlightened, to find spirituality, to find all that, to change your life, to become the version of you that you are today, that God fucking empowered you to carry this message. Clearly, he sparked it in your soul that the world needs to hear it. And there's some executive, some CEO, even if there's only one, there's many more than one. We both know that.
You know that.
There's many more than one, but they hear this message and they've never heard it before. And they, like you, thought they were alone. And they, like you, were plagued with thoughts of fucking loneliness, anxiety, depression, and eventual fucking suicidal ideation. And what greater a gift to be able to carry to the world. Again, thank you.
Thank you. That's what I do.
Thank you.
The grace
I'm grateful.
And the thing,
Yeah.
It's just...
It's all perspective.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, you also carry the energy. You own the room and you carrying the energy. You're carrying the energy of love, of the empathy and caring.
It's God.
I know. But this is the constant work. You don't go to the gym and you don't look suddenly like after one day. It's all the constant work and the faith and the belief. Because we know what the fucking pain is. We know what the fucking devil and the demons fucking dancing in your head and fucking breaking you through. Like, you fucking not enough. You lose a motherfucker. Get out of the fucking bed. Or you cannot do this shit. You cannot do shit. This time I got you. This time you're not fucking gonna do this. You know what I mean? And it's like screaming and yelling for help and just close inside the head. And it's fuck, why? And it's like, no, you're not at the bottom yet. You're not at the bottom yet. You know what I mean? but we use what we think we're at the bottom, and then the next time is even more bottom, And there's the awareness, and just like you saying, it's fucking normal. We are not weirdos. We are not weirdos. We can take the pain and use as a fucking fuel.
Yeah.
You use your pain, and I'm using my pain as a fuel, and God give us the permission to fucking share it so people stop fucking killing themselves. There's 720,000 suicide every fucking year. City like Boston will be wiped out every single year by fucking suicide.
It's crazy.
It's fucking crazy.
I've lost a lot of friends to suicide.
545,000
I've lost
men.
several close friends of mine this year to suicide. Yeah. Will Murphy, Ricky Morgano, two grown men, handsome, good-looking guys. Will was a financial advisor. Will Hardigan, he was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. He had just gotten recruited to, what's that other big bank? Something. One of the other, like a Goldman Sachs type spots. I forget the name of them. He was a country club superstar. Like, he was like great at tennis and, all the country club sports, and hung out with all the private equity guys and did all that. He was one of the real handsome kid, was a stud in his 30s.
Can you imagine hearing this conversation?
He died in Boston, and he overdosed himself on pills, wrote a letter and everything. His parents had been married. They met in AA 50 years ago. They've been sober for 50 years almost, his parents. His father was Will Hardigan Sr. I know him, great guy. And then Ricky Morgano I grew up with. We lived in the same neighborhood growing up. He was like a year or two older than me. He had gotten divorced several years ago, had a machine shop company that did manufacturing things in the machine shop, went through a nasty divorce. He had 2 sons. His kids frequently were at my oldest son's birthday parties and went to school together. And handsome kid, tough kid, rode a Harley, real likable, real popular in high school, and he killed himself several months ago. It was just 2 off the top of my head. And these are guys like I knew for double-digit years. I knew Ricky my whole life. I knew Will for probably 15 years. No sign. They suffered in silence. I'll tell you something about both of them, that I've seen them around, talked to them, know them, and they never, no one, both news was like, what? Will was like a stud and had it all going on for him. And it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't look like what you think it looks like. No. And I work in behavioral health care. I've had tens and tens of thousands of substance use and mental health patients over the last 17 years of my professional career working in behavioral health care. And I've had more people say they were suicidal and have suicidal ideation. I have intent with a plan and I want to kill myself and all this shit. I have never once seen any one of those people actually kill themselves. But yet I've seen hundreds of suicides. And I could tell stories, and they're just here one day smiling at you, looking at you, and then you're like, wait, what? They did what? Same thing, man. And so I'm just saying that
we lose the battle with the voice. The voice get louder.
Well, it's like, 100%, but I really appreciate the work that you're doing with this podcast and getting this message out, because maybe if those guys understood, maybe if they had someone to reach out to, if they had the content, like, fuck, I'm not alone. Because it's the Rubik's Cube. It's the riddle that you got caught in. It's like I'm chasing all these things. I got married. I had kids. I started a business. I made a bunch of money. I bought a house. We go on 3 vacations a year. I got a Harley Davidson. I got this and this and this and this. And I still fucking hate life. And people don't know. They legitimately, like, now it's common sense to me and it's become common sense to you that it's not about that, it's about this. But people, the way society is set up, chase this and don't know any different. And so when this doesn't work, they feel hopeless and they feel lost and they don't see any other fucking solution.
So you're good in sales, I'm good in sales. How would you fucking sell people in the fucking inner wealth? Invest in yourself and just fucking go deep. Not from the outside.
I don't know. I think it's about being there when they're ready. It's about putting that message out there that, like, hopefully the Rickies and the Wills of the world and the Erics of the world, that when that pain cracks up on them, that that there are people that have suffered like this, that there are people out there, because I know and I saw and I listened and I heard and I watched and I observed that have put this message and this content out in the world, that, like, I too, when I hit the fucking wall going 110 miles an hour, know where to turn. And I know that I'm not alone. Because I think a lot of those people that fucking die, I think they die thinking they're alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just the message of this is, no, you're not. We too had those thoughts. Yeah. We too felt like that.
Guys,
we too have been
alone.
there.
Share your story. Just come out. I'm not going to say come out of the closet because I get killed for that.
If you got to come out of the closet, you probably should. But
share your story. Don't keep your emotions and feelings. And like you said, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Dude, brother, thank you, man.
Love. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights and master your inner wealth.